those of you who are watching on YouTube, after I do this live, I'm going to put it up there. I do apologize that this is going to be a small screen. My editing software blows ass, and I can't figure out how to make it a full screen, no matter what I fucking try. So, and for those of you on Facebook, I have not been live in a while. I realize that. My life has been pretty fucking busy. You know, do I love plumbing? That is a question that I used to instantly be able to answer. Do I love plumbing? And where I came from, what I have to compare my life to, it's funny, a buddy of mine that I've done some trading with in the past, Mr. Young, brought up something about a steel mill. And I used to work for AK Steel in Middletown, Ohio. I was a crane leader. And crane leaders, so basically steel would come fresh off the rollers and they would be orange hot, like 1600 degrees, these massive 50,000 pound slabs of steel stacked like 12 high. And you had to wear special clothing. You had to wear leathers. Because if you, basically what you had to do is you had to walk up to these slabs of steel that were 1600 degrees and write serial numbers on them in massive numbers, like a 16-digit serial number, so that the cranes knew what bay to put them in or what track on the train to put them on, da-da-da-da-da. Well, you had to wear special leathers because if you got that close to it wearing anything else but those leathers, you would combust into fucking flames. So you're literally earning a living by burning in hell every day. That was my life. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and one of them was welding. I know that there's some people who are like, oh yeah, I'm a welder and I'm happy as shit. Good for you, bud. I was miserable. I was miserable as fuck. I hated welding. I was building bridges for a company called Tampa Tank down in Tampa, Florida, on East Adamo Road in Tampa, Florida. And up next to working in a steel mill, that was one of the worst jobs I ever had. I have a lot of stories about Tampa Tank that you could write a movie about. And one day I'll share those stories. But to understand what is in my soul, you have to understand where I came from. I am a very, very nice person. At least I consider myself to be. And the way I go about doing things is I separate people into factions. So there's the green faction, there's neutral factions, and then there's the red faction. Neutral factions is not a bad place to be. It's not. Neutral factions is somebody that I know their name, they know my name. We coexist. I will listen to them when they speak. That is neutral factions. green factions is somebody that if they asked me, hey man, I got to burn down this house, I fucked up, I got to get rid of some evidence, I would help them. Without a thought in my brain, I would stop what I'm doing and I would help that person. Red factions. Red factions, I don't want to say things to classify this to make me sound more insane than I actually am. Red factions are people that I would prefer not be alive anymore, right? There's only ever been 2 people who have ever made it to the red factions. I'm bringing this up for a reason. My brother's ex-wife sent me a friend request and then she recanted that. And, 7 years ago, my last words to my brother were, if I ever see you again, I'm not going to say anything to you. My facial expression's not going to change. I'm just going to stab you to death. And I meant every word of it. I selected a knife, a style of knife that I preferred. And I have carried that knife with me, that style of knife with me, every day. I have slept with it in my pocket. I have brought it into grocery stores. I have brought it into banks, churches. I carry it with me everywhere that I go. I live with this knife, the style of knife. I've gotten to know this knife very well, as you can see. In the off chance that I walk into a grocery store one day and see that dude walking around, that person knows who he is. Well, I just revealed who he is. The only other person who made it to the red factions list was living in an $800,000 house, had, I don't know, $250,000 a year job, had a wife, a kid, lots of things were looking up for this guy. And one of my family members who was in the green faction, when you're in the green faction, you're family. He did some physical damage too, and some mental torturing as well. So me and somebody that co-helped. I mean, when I say that, I mean it took both of us to do this. But we completely ruined that man's life. We costed him his house, $800,000 house. We costed him his job, $250,000 a year job. We costed him his marriage, and we costed him his entire family. And I still keep tabs on that person every single day to make sure that he is still homeless. And the last thing I said to that guy was keep my name out of the suicide note. These are people who have fucked with my green factions. It takes a lot to get put on the red factions. And so far, no matter how hard somebody has tried, only 2 people have ever made that list. Only 2. One of them is taken care of already. He's fucking probably already dead. But how did we do it? Well, we got creative. But anyway, you know, that's the type of hate that is in my soul, and there's a lot of it. You know, I'm a super nice guy, super fucking nice guy, until you hurt people that I care about. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think I'm an unreasonable person. My original question: do I love plumbing? I love helping people. I do. I love resolving issues. I love the hands-on task, and I love the pay. The pay is amazing. But somehow, every time I get a job at a plumbing company, they find a way to suck the fun out of that job. They find a way. And it's rules, regulations, things that don't make sense or don't matter. Fucking, you know, I became a miserable person at AK Steel, a miserable person as a welder, because I was working 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had no life, and my existence was purposeless. I was living to pay bills, and I was literally burning in hell to pay those bills. What kind of life is that, right? Apparently, Travis works in a steel mill, and hats off to you, bud. Fucking holy shit. I have a lot of respect for those people. Today's society, kids will never fucking go work in a steel mill. We're a dying breed. Steel, any metal working at all, is a dying breed. It really is. And you would think that they would pay pretty well because they're running out of people, right? Well, they don't. They pay just enough for you to get by, just enough for you to be able to afford a car and afford rent, and, you know, maybe go on vacation every couple of years. They pay garbage. Well, there's a way to break the matrix, and part of that is investing into stocks. XRP, the crypto, that's a fucking amazing way to do it if it takes off. And it will. That's just going to take time. But I'm telling everybody, you know, if you got a spare $100 right now, dude, fucking throw it into XRP, you get 50 fucking shares. I don't know, it's like 216 or something. Get 50 fucking shares, or close to it. When that hits $1,000 a share, you're gonna have 50 fucking grand for a $100 investment. Like, just throw $100 in there. Are you gonna miss it when it's gone? You know what I mean? So, my level of thinking, these knives are, I don't know if this is gonna sound weird or not, but so, like, as a Christian, you ask Jesus Christ into your heart to come and save you. Well, I asked this into my soul, and that is why they have become a part of my life. They have become a part of my existence. So that's how important these are to me. The job I have now, they really try hard to, like, make you happy and shit, but there's things that are stressful that shouldn't be stressful, and my mind works the way that I think is stresses need to be eliminated permanently. That's how I think. Anything that I find is bothering me, I eliminate that problem permanently and make sure that it never comes back again. That's how I think. So one of my stresses is I have a very nice Cadillac that I take very good care of. Very fucking good care of. I detail it every other day. I use anti-static speed shine from Chemical Guys. If there's scratches on it, I buff it out. I clean the rims, I clean the tires, I make sure everything's nice and shiny every other day. I enjoy that. That relieves stress to me. It relieves stress because I'm putting pride in something that is nice. And when I drive around, it shows people that I give a shit about my car. You know what I mean? I don't just, get a bunch of mud all over it and drive that around for a couple of months. I used to do that in my Chevrolet S10, but I realized I need to start taking care of things. So that kind of got me into detailing, was fucking buffing my truck and getting all the scratches out from taking it off-roading and being stupid, But, unfortunately, and I don't know what it is with women, but for some reason, they love to hoard animals. I don't know where it comes from. And you never see a man with 15 cats. You know what I mean? So I have these neighbors downstairs. This neighborhood has been through hell constantly. It's a war zone here. 24 people get killed here every year. On average, 2 people a month get killed where I live every month. Nobody fucks with me because I pace around in circles, flipping knives. Nobody fucks with me. When I go out to my car, I don't have a problem. But I spent a lot of time detailing my car, and unfortunately, my next door neighbor started feeding the birds. Pigeons. Big old fat ass fucking pigeons. And she's throwing like whole loaves of bread out there at a time, right? She's probably living on food stamps, and I say that because I'm pretty sure she works at Dollar General. She has a daughter, all right? This whole scenario that I'm telling you about, this is all gonna unfold into something. So she has a daughter that mentally cannot live by herself. So her daughter is not on the lease. And if you're not on the lease, you're not allowed to live here, right? The problem is, and I didn't even pay attention to the problem until it became a problem, and then I have to come to a resolution, a permanent resolution. So the problem is she's feeding all these birds. Hundreds of them are flocking in to get this fucking bread, and then they're shitting all over my car. Nobody cares when it's not their problem. I want you to remember that quote. Nobody cares when it's not their problem. So sometimes you have to make it their problem. That's the end of the quote. I'll say it again. Nobody cares when it's not their problem. So sometimes you have to make it their problem. So, immediately, I think to myself, she's doing something to violate her lease, so that when I go down there and have a discussion with her, we'll nip it in the bud, right? Because if I ask you to do something and you tell me you're not going to because you want to hoard animals and fucking feed all these birds and feed the cats that are clawing the shit out of my paint job and all kinds of shit, because they like to sit on top of the car. And they're feral. Nobody takes care of them, so their fucking paws are, not their fucking claws are coming out, and they just scratch the shit out of your car. Nobody cares when it's not their problem. I want you to remember that. So, before I go have a discussion, I've already got the ammunition that if she doesn't comply, I will go to the office and I will fucking get her evicted. she doesn't have a choice in the matter because her daughter can't go live anywhere else. And her daughter's like 50 years old, mind you. I'm starting to sound like a bad guy, I know. So, the only other resolution is, and I'm going to offer that. I'm going to say, look, I'd like for you to stop feeding the fucking animals because they're tearing my shit up. And you're not the one who has to go out and clean my car every day and clean all the bird shit off. Bird shit is acidic and it will eat into my clear coat. If I miss it, and it, you know, I don't miss it, I clean it every day. But you're not the one who has to go out and clean it every day. I am. And I'm getting tired of it. So I'm gonna ask politely, stop feeding the birds. When I ask that, I have another option. So a lot of you guys were told at a young age that rice will expand in a bird's belly and cause it to explode. That actually doesn't happen. That's false. That's a myth. They tell you not to throw white rice at weddings because it'll kill the birds. That's bullshit. Alka-Seltzer, that's also bullshit because a bird's not going to go pick up Alka-Seltzer. They're not going. They're not after that. They're after worms and shit, dude. And even if they do, so their bodies have the ability to release gas. They have the ability to do that. So Alka-Seltzer will also not work. But I tell you what will work. A .22 caliber Benjamin Akela with a suppressor on it that at the muzzle is 66 decibels, which is as quiet as the conversation that me and you are having. That is that rifle right there. That'll take care of the birds. Do I want to go that route? No, because I know how that's going to end. Somebody's going to get offended. They're going to call animal control. It's going to be a mess. Do I want to go down that road? I do not. But I do want to eliminate the stresses in my life. Right? So I have to be very well calculated about how I handle things, and I think things through in this manner. So at least you've gotten to see how I react to things, because it's not normal. It's not normal. Most people will tolerate it, and they'll say to themselves, oh, well, you know, I'll get myself in a better position next year, and, you know, I'll just fucking move out, and I'll just deal with it. No. Stop dealing with stress. Quit dealing with it. Quit putting up with it. Come up with a creative solution. Sit down and come up, just get away from everything. Turn the music off. Sit down at a table, sit down on a couch, and think to yourself, how am I going to permanently resolve the stress in my life? You only got one life. And dealing with things is not something, I don't put up with shit from anybody. I just don't. And this has affected almost every aspect of my life. Like when it comes to women, for example. I just, you know, if I ask you, hey, how was your weekend? And you say, great. And you don't ask me how my weekend was, and a week goes by, and you still haven't said anything to me, that tells me that you don't value me, my time, who I am as a person, So why the fuck would I talk to you? I kicked that person out of my life. If a woman angers me bad enough to the point where I can't stand it anymore, I quit talking to him. That's the worst thing you could do to him. That's the worst thing you could do to him. It's just fucking walk away. Fucking walk away, dude. Let them suffocate in their own shit. Because they will. You know, that's eliminating stresses. I eliminate people out of my life before they get to the red faction. I do that for two reasons. One for their safety and one for my peace of mind. Only two people have ever made it to that list. Only two. And one of them has already been dealt with. The other one, I drove 2,000 miles away from, and he has every opportunity to stay the fuck away from me. Every opportunity. So if he steps into my part of town, 2,000 miles away, if he steps into my part of town, then we're not going to be upset at the way I choose to react. We're going to be upset at the root of the problem. Over and over and over again. I have forgiven this person my entire upbringing. Over and over and over again. Each time expecting a different result. And I will tell you, that evil exists when good men do nothing. And if I don't do something about it, he's just going to continue hurting people and continue destroying people's lives. I don't have a choice. So, I live 2,000 miles away, and he has every opportunity to stay the fuck away from me. Every opportunity. If he chooses not to, oh well. I'm not going to think twice about it. Not a thought will enter my brain. So, that's who I am as a person. You don't hurt my family. I don't really give a shit what happens to me. I care less. I really could. But people that I care about, the people who are in the green faction, I want to see them happy. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them have a good life because they deserve it. I want that for them. And when somebody disrupts that, it upsets me in a way that it affects my soul. And I have to do something to alleviate that. And that's all I'm going to explain about all that. It's been a pretty good day. Had a cigar. Fucking hung out with my buddy a little bit. We're going to start getting back into music. It's been at least a month. I don't know. It's been a minute since we've really gotten together and just played. Problem is it's hotter than fuck out. And the studio that we play in doesn't really have AC. It's got a fan, but it doesn't really have AC. So it gets hotter than fuck. So I, probably reserve that for nighttime or whatever. But it's been a good day. Haven't had any complaints about today. But anyway. So, for those of you or on my neutral factions list, you're fine. People who have tried to get on my red list, I just walk away from, typically. I maintain my peace by being karma, because karma doesn't exist. You know, when somebody does you wrong, wrong doesn't happen to them. The world doesn't work that way. Nobody cares when it's not their problem, so sometimes you have to make it their problem. It's part of life. That's how I alleviate the stresses in my world. Does plumbing make me happy? Plumbing does make me happy. Where I came from, excessively hard labor. Like, hard labor doesn't define it. I would pick plumbing is heaven compared to that. Seeing new faces every day, that's a big thing. I love that. You know, I love it when there's a catastrophic moment in somebody's life and I'm able to turn that around and fix that for them. I love that aspect. You know, it's a good feeling. There's always something going on. Anyway, so I'm gonna get some sleep. Fucking try to wake up a little early tomorrow and fucking have a nice weekend. But all right, guys, we'll catch y'all later. I'm gonna end this in a Van Gogh. I love Van Goghs. All right, guys. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.